All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Jocelyn, I think you're the only one actually in the course today, which is going to be rough on everybody else because this is the final project and everything that needs to be done for that. If you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up or something.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right, so let me just see here, make sure that we're on the right page. Okay, so I'm just going to go over everything that's needed over the next 4 weeks. And I wanted to start off kind of at the end, looking at the written research report and kind of what's expected. And there's a really good example at the end of the textbook of the Avery Fitness Center. So this is a good guide as far as if you're looking for an example of what's expected in your final research project, this would be it. So I'm just going to go through this real quick so that we kind of get a good idea. This is the report. Basically, what's the problem? They wanted a deeper understanding of the fitness customers at this particular fitness center. So some of the research questions were, who are they? What services do they use? And what draws them to the center? And again, this is the format that you should have for your final research paper. And if you, when you go to present it, obviously, you're going to summarize this in probably about 7 to 10 slides with a presentation of about anywhere from about 6 to 10 minutes. Table of contents, obviously written after you've written the report. Executive summary, again, it's a summary of the entire report, so it's going to be done after the report is written. It should be something that somebody is able to look at and decipher within about 60 seconds. So keep it fairly concise as far as the executive summary is concerned. The introduction, so introducing the Avery Center, background on it, when it was founded, things like that. Any pertinent information as far as the center is concerned. So for your project, this would be a good area to put any exploratory research in. So research that was done about the subject that you were going to do your research on. And so that information, and then we go into the methodology. This one uses exploratory research. So they're looking to figure out, okay, who are these people? What are some demographic informations? They're also doing descriptive research, so collecting primary data. They used a mail survey in this circumstance. In some instances, they did personal interviews and telephone surveys. And again, any of those questionnaires, anything that we're using to conduct the research, we're going to put a copy of that in the appendix area at the back of the report. And any other information as far as data, tables, any codes that you use to code the data so that you could use mathematical equations to come up with an analysis. That would all go in the appendix as well. And then they go into the results section. They talk about the overall, what they found to be the demographics, the people that were going into the fitness center. In this particular case, it was 80% female. The age ranges, how educated they were, and income level as well. And yeah, and so they used a statistical analysis to come up with some information. This is a table that they used to show us what services were used within the facility. So weight training, about 32%, classes were just over 25%, exercise circuit, about 22%, circulation station, about 12%, and then high percentage, 45% used the therapy pool. They go into a description of each one of these, what they found in these instances as far as the demographic breakdown of each one of these areas. And more information, number of visits within the last 30 days. They see that there was a means of about 8.6 visits per month with a standard deviation of 7.6. And another good graph showing, again, it's a way to show the information so that we have a good idea of how that breaks down as far as time is concerned. Usage statistics, so how much did the members pay per month? In those circumstances, other demographic variables, revenue by usage variables, motivation to attend. They obviously had a question that might have had a Likert scale to say, on a scale of 1 to 5, how motivated are you to do this or that, or whatever the case might be, and that's where they came up with the revenues by motivation to attend, and other statistical information. So section 2, they wanted to investigate how did the members initially learn about the fitness facility. So they asked the question, what was the original event that caused you to begin services at AFC? And then they got responses from that. They may have listed these off as choices. So rehabilitation, general health, pool and facility, social, transferring from another facility or some other need. So that gives us a good idea of, again, if we're going to market these services to other people with the same demographic, we want to put an emphasis on rehabilitation and general health as far as that's concerned. And then how did you learn about the facility? This was a closed-ended question, again, giving a description about the question itself. So the methodology used to gain the information. It was a close-ended, check all that apply question. That should all go into your report. And we find that the largest percentage were recommendations from a friend, recommendations from a doctor, newspaper article, and other. So that tells us right off the bat that if we're going to put money into promoting the fitness center, we probably want to put together some kind of a referral program where people refer other people and they get a free month of gym membership, or they get some extra incentive at the gym so that we can continue to increase the recommendations from friends. Same thing with doctors. So we may go into a doctor's office and say, hey, I've got a full month of fitness center pass for you and your entire staff. If you keep recommending people to the fitness center, there'll be further incentives that come down the line as far as that goes. So we can see what our usages might be for this type of information. The report does go in and list the limitations. Again, if you're doing a research report on a particular group of people, we have to keep the limitations to that particular group of people. We can't widen the scope to people that fit outside of the group that we're identifying. So again, if we're identifying, athletes across the broad spectrum of all athletes worldwide, it's a really hard survey or questionnaire to complete, because you have to have access to every athlete, and then you randomly select athletes, and it may only be 30 athletes worldwide, but you have to have that entire pool to be able to say that this is what we found as far as athletes worldwide are concerned. So we're not going to be able to do that, I don't think. So you're going to have to talk about the limitations of your study in these circumstances. And then the conclusions. So this is what we found, demographic patterns, things like that. And then where we should, again, I kind of explained this during the process, but where should we focus our marketing efforts? Where should we focus on putting our ad dollars as far as where members learn about the fitness facility? And then that's the report, adding any references. And again, the references will primarily come from your exploratory data, that data that's in the introduction of why you're conducting this study, the background on, or the history of what you're studying is where you're going to put things that you read about as far as your study is concerned. So before I go any further, are there any questions on the survey? Oh, and the appendix area. Again, this is really important to make sure that you have your actual survey listed. any other information that you used to help build your research. This was the code book that they used for qualitative data. So finding out about that information and then giving it a code, like gender might get, females might get a 1 and males might get a 2 and other might get a 3. So if you coded your information in order to use mathematical statistics to give outcomes, you want to put your code book in the appendix area as well. And then this was their data set. So this is everything that they collected from those surveys and had put into Excel and then explained in that circumstance. Has income levels, all kinds of demographic information. When do people visit, during time frames, and all of that. So that's the research report. This is the final deliverable for the class. Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. All right. So with that said, that's kind of the end in mind. Let me just go to what we've got coming up here. So just going to bring up the course content area. See if I can bring that up here. Okay. So as far as the course comment area is concerned, we go into our area where we have most of our items for the class. Figure out why this is not coming up. Okay, so I went ahead and moved everything to the top so we know what's going on. This is basically kind of a summary of the steps that you can take through this process. So you can click on that document. I've also listed them as deliverables below so that we can meet as individuals as we're moving forward here over the next couple weeks. So our next actual meeting individually, or if you're working with a partner, will be on April 24th, and I will get times from, or I'm sorry, it's actually going to be April 16th. On April 11th, you're going to have your research topic and background. So I did a little bit of explanation. You can go ahead and post that information here. Very simple, quick summary of what you're doing. This obviously is not the entire portion of these areas, but research objectives. So what are you researching and what prior background of research has been done in this area? So again, your exploratory research, what are you trying to answer, and what background information have you found in the particular area that you're researching? And then and so that'll be, you'll post that here on the 11th. On the 16th, you'll talk about your research approach. So what approach are you using and why? So are you doing observational research, behavioral research, experimental research? What is it that you're actually doing and why are you doing it that way? And then on that day, we'll have a individual, or again, if you're working with a partner or partners, we'll have a meeting for about 10 minutes, kind of just go over where you're at, see if there's any questions, if you're running into any difficulties. And then on the 18th, this will be your instrument and sampling plan. So are you using a questionnaire? Or what is it that you're using? Are you using prior research and then pulling the whole thing together from prior research? And what does your sampling plan look like? So this gives some breakdown, but again, you can go back to that Avery Fitness plan and use that as an example of what you might be putting together in these circumstances. And then on the 23rd, which is before the 25th, we'll have another individual meeting, see where you're at before you go into your collection, or you could be doing your data collection during this time. So I want to meet with you, find out, are there any issues you're running into? How is the data collection going? But by April 25th, you want to wrap up that data collection. post, you know, in a spreadsheet or something like that, you can start to post your raw data that you've collected. And at the same time, on the 25th, do some form of a rough draft of analysis of what your findings were posted here. And then after that, we get into presentations. So any questions regarding that?
I don't have any.
Okay. All right. So the only other person online is David. It's only David and Jocelyn. So, like I said, if you talk to any of your classmates, you can bring them up to speed. This lecture may have been recorded, so I might be able to post it, but if not, I'll be answering a lot of questions from other people later on. So, with that said, you guys are online right now. I've got time set in 10-minute increments on April 16th from 10:30 to 11:30. Does anybody want a time slot? Again, being 10:30, 10:40, 10:50, 11 o'clock, 11:10, 11:20, or 11:30. Just speak up if there's a time that you want.
I'll do the 10:30 one.
Okay. And David, is there a time that you want? I can't hear you, David, if you're speaking. So David, I'm not hearing you. If you want to put it in the chat, I'll find it there. $11:30. Okay, David, I'm putting you down for 11:30. And do you guys want to go ahead and have the same times for the April 23rd meeting?
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. Okay, so there will be no classes. There's no reason to come back here. The only time you're going to come back here is for your individual meetings and then the final presentations in about a month from now. So not quite a month, but about 3.5 weeks from now. You can check those on the syllabus when we do those. And then the first, you had asked when the first meeting is on the 16th. David asked that. So are you okay at 11:30 on the 16th? Okay. Assume that the okay is cool. If you guys have anything that comes up between now and at any point in time, if you need to set a time with me to meet individually outside of these meetings, just email me and we'll figure something out. Because from here on out, you're pretty much on your own other than these individual meetings. So I do want to be there to assist you guys if you run into any roadblocks. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. Thank you.
You guys are welcome. That's all I've got for you today. Set up the research going to be posted. So the research, the setup is use the example at the back of the book of Avery Fitness. That's the setup of the final research report. It obviously doesn't have to be nearly as extensive as that, but it should have all of the major elements of that particular fitness report. If you go a different direction other than a survey for your project, that's fine as well. We can talk about that offline if need be, but take a good look at that Avery Fitness report at the back of the chapter as far as a good example and an outline of what you need to do for this final project. So does that sound good, David?